Allie wasn't used to drinking anymore, and she had a slight headache from the copious amounts of wine she'd consumed last night. Madison had turned out to be great company. She was funny, intelligent, and had an energy to her that drew Allie in and made her want to be a part of her world. They'd talked for hours until Devon closed up, and even then, they'd stayed in front of Madison's door, finishing a conversation she could hardly recall. Although it was probably the norm for Madison, Allie never had nights like that anymore. She'd lost touch with old friends, being too busy with Theo and the bar, and her social life was limited to drinks with Devon after work and occasional dates that were usually a waste of her time. She covered the top of the cake with cream cheese frosting and carried it out to the bar to place it next to the muffins. As she started moving the furniture outside, she saw Madison cross the beach in a black string bikini, holding a towel under her arm. Allie tilted her head, following her with her eyes. Madison's thigh muscles tensed as she quickened her pace, then started running toward the shore. Even from a distance, it was clear that she was athletic, and she looked great from behind. She looks great from the front, too. Allie shook her head and shot back into action mode when she realized she'd been staring at her again. She put down the chair she'd been holding, then concentrated on the rest of the furniture and the flowers, still keeping one eye on her new tenant. It was way too cold to swim, but it didn't seem to bother Madison as she dropped the towel, sprinted in, and dove into a wave. Allie gasped at the sight, goosebumps appearing on her arms just at the thought of going into the water this time of year. Again, she forgot what she was doing as she watched Madison swim farther out in a quick front crawl, disappearing under the water only to resurface a few moments later, to turn on her back and finally lay still, simply floating while the dozens of pelicans that were out there today surrounded her. They didn't come here very often, but this morning there were more than Allie had ever seen, flocking around Madison as if welcoming her to the beach. She immediately looked down at the flowers she was rearranging when Madison started swimming back to shore, and walked out, her pink hair slicked back and her tanned body glistening in the morning sun. "Incredible, right?" Madison said through short breaths when she reached Allie, who was now trying really hard not to stare at her abs. She had her towel wrapped around her waist, and water was dripping down her face. "The pelicans?" she continued when Allie didn't answer. "Yes, of course, the pelicans." Allie composed herself. "They're not here very often, so you're in luck today." She smiled. "You're a good swimmer." "I bet you're not so bad yourself, having lived here for so long," Madison said, running a hand through her wet hair. "I'm an okay swimmer, but I'm not going in there before July," Allie said, pointing to the ocean. "It's far too cold. You're crazy." Madison laughed. "It's fine once you're in and over the initial shock." She removed her towel and started drying her hair right in front of Allie, putting her spectacular body on full display. Allie's eyes shifted to her stomach again. "How are you feeling today?" she asked, trying to distract herself as she apparently was unable to look away. "I feel great, why?" Madison narrowed her eyes and she gave Allie a teasing smile. "Are you hungover?" "Maybe a little," Allie groaned. "Okay, yes, I'm seriously hungover. I've got a headache and a dry mouth, and I feel really tired. But I see you're as fresh as a daisy." She laughed and shook her head. "God, right now I wish I was 15 years younger." "Nothing an Advil can't fix. I've got some in the house. Want me to get one for you?" Allie nodded. "That would be great, actually. Want to trade an Advil for a slice of freshly baked carrot cake?" "Hell yeah." Madison eyed the cake at the end of the bar and shot Allie a grin before she turned. "I'll be back in a minute."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.